Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Katrina Blowers.
Good afternoon. Our top stories on 7. Police Commissioner Katarina Carroll standing down while she's leaving the top job as pressure mounts. The multi-billion-dollar war chest to boost our Navy. Supermarket giants under fire claims customers are being ripped off and suppliers bled dry. And a pink party hits the Gold Coast. We are live ahead of the pop star's blockbuster performance. Good afternoon. Police Commissioner Katarina Carroll has ended rumblings and speculation about her future. The top cop today announcing she's resigning. Our state political editor Marlena Wapp joins us now. Marlena, the Commissioner is going to finish up next week.
Katrina, in a bombshell announcement, the Commissioner revealed she only wrote up her resignation letter this morning. She was then forced to break the news to the Police Minister in the Qantas Club at the airport. He was due to fly out of town. That all changed, and then shortly after at Police Headquarters she had a prepared statement ready to go. She then took questions about her career. There was a focus on the youth crime crisis. Her announcement follows some unrest from frontline officers on the Gold Coast after a senior sergeant was stood down amid claims he authorised other officers to ram a stolen car. Now, Katarina Carroll is adamant that this decision is hers and that issue did not play a role in her announcement today. She says she doesn't believe she has been made a scapegoat. Now, at times during the media conference, she became quite emotional while talking about her family. She says that some candid discussions with her husband and children started earlier this year about her career, given that her 5-year contract would be up for renewal in July. Let's take a listen.
The truth is, it has been the most incredible and rewarding journey I could have ever asked for. I certainly would not have predicted that a young woman living in Inner Hot Springs in far north Queensland from Croatian immigrants would make her way through the ranks to be appointed as Commissioner of Police. You have, Queenslanders, the most amazing police service. I will finish in my role next Friday, March the 1st. I don't feel I've been made a scapegoat at all. This was my decision. My daughter lives in the US, so looking forward to seeing her. Sorry. So that'll be lovely. But it really is about the family.
Now, both the Premier and Police Minister were by her side for that announcement, and they praised the job that she's done working with youth crime victims and frontline staff. Katarina Carroll joined the Police Academy 41 years ago in July 2019. She was sworn in as the state's 20th Police Commissioner, the first woman to occupy the office. Now the search is on for her replacement, Katrina, and there are a number of contenders already. We'll have more coming up at 6 o'clock.
Yes, the speculation has begun. Marlena Wapp, thank you very much. Australia's Navy fleet will be more than doubled, with 6 drone warships commissioned in a radical upgrade. The missile carriers will be able to roam the world's oceans with no one at the wheel. Chris Reason was at the announcement.
Good afternoon. What has been described as a historic day, the most consequential investment in the Navy since the Second World War, with a major step too into the future and the development of drone ships. Announced from the decks of the HMAS Canberra, plans to more than double the size of Australia's surface fleet from 11 to 26 in total. The centrepiece, 11 new general-purpose frigates like these, 3 bought off the shelf from overseas and the remaining 8 built in Perth, as will 6 new drone ships, possibly like these, what the Navy calls large optionally crewed surface vessels. US designed, their new technology, essentially floating missile platforms. More ships, more lethal and more expensive. The budget jumps to $54 billion, or 2.4% of GDP.
Today is a good day for the Australian Defence Force.
The largest fleet since the end of the Second World War.
They've also confirmed the number of planned Hunter-class frigates will be cut from 9 to 6 to save $20 billion on that troubled program, but insisting that shipbuilding jobs will be safe in Adelaide, with a new undecided ship to be built there after the Hunter finishes in 2043. Australia's 6 ageing Anzac-class frigates will also be wound down, today announcing the oldest, HMAS Anzac, will not go to sea again. The retirement of the Anzac actually means that despite the fanfare of today, the Australian surface fleet falls from 11 ships to 10, going backwards before it steps forwards. Back to you.
The Competition Tribunal has ruled ANZ's proposed takeover of Suncorp's banking operations can go ahead. The ACCC previously blocked the bid over fears it could make the big bank more dominant in the market. It was ruled today any downsides from the $4.9 billion acquisition were unlikely to outweigh the benefit of the two companies integrating. Suncorp's modern banking operations began in 1996 when the organisation merged with Medway Bank. The widow of Putin opponent Alexei Navalny claims her husband died after being poisoned with a Novichok nerve agent. She's accused the Kremlin of hiding his body to cover up the crime. Ashley Mullaney reports.
Alexei Navalny's family have been denied access to his body, and Russian authorities have now told them they won't be releasing his body for another 14 days while they carry out a chemical examination. That only fueling speculation that the former Russian opposition leader met with foul play inside that Serbian prison where he'd been detained. His wife, Yulia, who's been a steadfast supporter over the years, is urging the EU to hold Vladimir Putin accountable. She said the Kremlin is not only responsible for her husband's death, but of now hiding his body too.
We know why exactly Putin killed Alexei 3 days ago. We will tell you about it soon. We will definitely find out who exactly and how exactly this crime was carried out. We will name names and show faces.
The EU is weighing more sanctions against Russia, so is the United States. But we know from the war in Ukraine that they are largely symbolic and have done little to deter Russia in the past.
The CEO of Virgin Australia has announced she's stepping down from her role. Jane Herdlicker has been at the helm for 4 years, taking over when Virgin was bought by Bain Capital at the height of the pandemic. The airline has announced its return to profitability in the past financial year. Ms Herdlicker will stay on until a new boss is named. It's unclear, though, when that will happen. Australia's 2 largest supermarkets are being accused of misleading customers and bleeding suppliers dry. The CEO of Woolworths sensationally walked out during an interview when he was put under pressure. Tyra Stowers reports.
Well, Coles and Woolworths hold 65% of Australia's grocery markets, and they're being accused of using this power to push up prices and rip off suppliers. Between them, they made $84 billion in revenue last year, more than $1 billion each in profits. Whilst customer grocery bills are growing, many households are at breaking point. In a tense interview on Four Corners, the Woolworths CEO buckled under pressure when he was grilled about whether there's enough competition in the market, dismissing concerns raised by the former chairman of the ACCC.
I'm just saying the world has got much more competitive.
He retired 18 months ago.
I shouldn't have said that, Angus. Are we going to leave it in there if we are?
Well, I mean, we're on the record. You said it. I mean, you know, let's move on. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm done, guys. I do this with good intent.
He did later return to continue answering questions. Coles didn't get off lightly either. Leaked emails revealed they've been accepting lump sum payments from suppliers in exchange for price rises.
We ended up giving a lump sum of money to get the price increase through, which was accepted in full.
So you're saying that they will validate your price increase if you give them either more margin or a lump sum of money?
Correct.
The supermarkets know that fruit and vegetable is perishable. If you don't sell it, it's worthless. And as a result, they can exploit that by offering rock bottom, take it or leave it prices.
There are now calls for tighter regulation of the industry. Choice says both major supermarkets are guilty of dodgy and confusing specials, calling on unfair pricing practices to be banned. While the Greens plan to move a motion in Parliament tomorrow to give the state greater powers to stop supermarkets from price gouging.
Pink's summer carnival tour continues tonight on the Gold Coast. Danielle Bowen is at Heritage Bank Stadium, where Pink is hours away from hitting the stage. And Danielle, the atmosphere there is already building.
Katrina, fans are already arriving. In fact, we spoke with a few of them, some getting here at 7 a.m. this morning. Now, earlier today, we had a sneak peek inside Heritage Bank Stadium as Pink Mania sweeps the Gold Coast. The stage is set and the aerials hoisted high above the ground. 50,000 fans are expected to turn up, half of those out-of-towners, injecting millions of dollars into the Gold Coast economy.
Which is about $8 million. But the second part of it, we are now being recognised as a major concert city.
We had our 42 trucks come in and we had to make some adaptations.
She stays here on the Gold Coast even though they got concert in Brisbane and things. So she's made her home away from home here.
After performing Brisbane at the weekend, Pink and her husband, Carrie Hart, were captured riding motorbikes through the Gold Coast, enjoying this slice of the southeast ahead of her show tonight. Our gates open in less than 1 hour, with more fans expected to arrive here as the Pink Party is about to get started.
Oh, who needs Taylor Swift, hey? Thank you, Danielle. Now to the weather, and Tony, how are those conditions looking for the Pink concert tonight?
The all-important question, Katrina, and it should be just about perfect. Earlier showers have now cleared away from the coast here. You can't rule out a light sprinkle at some stage, but gee, it should be dry for most of the night. Well, the Gold Coast reached a top of 28 degrees and it should hover around 23 as Pink hits the stage this evening. Ipswich topped the list on 32 degrees today, but Desert dropping to 17 overnight before posting a maximum of 31. Now for a quick update on what's driving our climate at the moment. El Nino is weakening. Yes, it is still technically an El Nino despite plenty of rain through the summer. It's still likely having a drying influence as shown by this red arrow here. The Indian Ocean dipole is now neutral, while the Madden-Julian oscillation, or MJO, up in the tropics is also neutral, both of those not having any strong influence. But the Southern Ocean could be. The Southern Annular Mode, or SAM, is positive, which usually provides a little bit of extra moisture for potential rain, especially over southern parts of Queensland. Plenty happening in there. Katrina, I'll be back soon with tomorrow's forecast.
Great little weather lesson. Thank you, Tony. Well, just ahead, the massive impact of vaping on our healthcare system. Millions of dollars up in smoke. That's next. Slippery conditions, a driver's dramatic icy crash caught on dash cam. And we're on Taylor Swift watch, what the pop star is up to ahead of her sold-out Sydney shows.
In 7 News, Queensland police in turmoil. The Commissioner quits. Katarina Carroll falls down in the face of intense pressure.
I just want the air to be clear because it is about the organisation.
What does it mean for the youth crime crisis? Also, Suncorp sold. Will branches shut? 7 News at 6.
Shrinkflation. Your favourite grocery products getting smaller and smaller while prices go higher and higher.
Now the new push from shoppers to call out the big brands.
Plus, global business guru Richard Quest, live and exclusive. His cost of living solutions for all Australians. Start with Sunrise.
Welcome back. Queensland researchers have exposed the huge cost of vaping on the national healthcare system. Joining us now is the QAMR Berghofer researcher, Professor Louisa Gordon. Louisa, thanks for joining us on 4pm News. First of all, what are the dangers of vaping that your study looked into?
Yes, so our research specifically looked at people who have never smoked before, who are using e-cigarettes and then transitioning to smoking. So we estimate that at 13% of people that vape, and that's about 110,000 Australians, and that's really a conservative figure. It may be a lot higher.
Yeah, that is a worry. So how much is this problem costing Aussies every year?
So we've estimated the healthcare costs to be $180 million per year. So that includes the cost to diseases like respiratory diseases, the cancers and cardiovascular diseases. But there's at least 25 smoking-related diseases that cost an awful lot of money to our health system.
And what areas do you think still need researching for us to be able to better understand the full impacts of vaping?
Yeah, so e-cigarettes haven't been around for very long, and so we don't really know what the full impacts are of vaping in Australia. So we just need to keep continuing measuring the health effects and the health costs to the health system. And what our research shows is that this is really supporting the government's move to crack down on vaping and try and reduce the prevalence in Australia.
Yeah, a good move. Thank you so much, Professor Gordon, for your time today.
Thank you.
To other news now, and Israeli airstrikes have rattled parts of southern Lebanon, producing explosions and plumes of smoke. The country's military says it was targeting Hezbollah weapons depots around 60 kilometres north of the border. There were no reports of deaths or injuries. Dashcam video has emerged of a highway collision in freezing conditions in the US state of Michigan. The driver of a ute lost control on an icy road and slid straight into the path of a snowplow. The winter weather has led to several crashes, including a 30-car pile-up earlier this week. Well, still to come, preparations ramp up in Sydney ahead of Taylor Swift's sold-out concerts and what Queensland fans can expect. And in sport, from a US invasion of Australia to the Aussies invading the US, the Bunnies land in LA.
On 7 News, the grandparent economy holding up Australia in 2024.
It's the bank of Nan and Pop.
Boomers now with 48% of national wealth.
This is a new phenomenon.
The exclusive breakdown of how this generation is making all the difference, helping their families while living life to the full. On 7 News at 6.
Sydney is on Taylor Swift watch as the superstar prepares for her next run of shows. There's even speculation this afternoon her Super Bowl winning boyfriend Travis Kelce could be making his way down under. Paul Caddack reports.
Good afternoon. As the rain has been coming down here in Sydney, it appears that Taylor Swift may have opted for an inside day for her first full day back in the city. Counting down to the first of her 4 shows here on Friday. And after those fierce storms yesterday, more thunder and lightning today, there have been some concerns from Swifties about Friday's forecast, which at the moment is for increasing showers in the afternoon and evening with the chance of a thunderstorm. But as for any fears about postponing the show, according to Accor Stadium, events will go ahead, rain, hail or shine, unless artist and patron safety is at risk. What else the 34-year-old might be up to until Friday is still an open question, but this morning the private jet she's been using left Sydney for Honolulu, triggering speculation it could be on its way to pick up boyfriend Travis Kelce after he made a cryptic comment about heading to an island in the south. What is for certain the financial impact of Taylor Swift's sellout shows on the local economy, hotels saying they haven't seen so much demand for accommodation in February for a long time.
Especially for one artist. It's crazy to think one person has created this kind of demand. Most of our hotels are at capacity or they've got, rooms at, New Year's Eve level pricing.
As preparations continue at Accor Stadium, some 60 truckloads of staging gear being packed up at the MCG in Melbourne as Sydney turns on a soggy start to Taylor Swift's return.
Now for sport with Ben, and Ben, maybe Travis can catch some footy while he's here.
Oh, that'd be good. Maybe the Titans, Katrina. G'day, everyone. Fringe Maroon, Bo Thormer insists he carries no mental scars as he prepares to return 12 months in the making. Sunday's Eels trial. The Titans back rower first since suffering an ACL rupture on the eve of the season.
Playing pretty much game-like footy for probably 4 weeks now, so I haven't really been thinking about it at all. I guess a game on the weekend's a bit different.
And the NRL's US invasion began this morning. The Rabbitohs touching down in Los Angeles, welcomed by some red and green diehards. South spend 8 days in San Diego before making their way to Sin City next Wednesday. Well, Australia will prioritise beating New Zealand over planning for June's T20 World Cup, but skipper Mitch Marsh confirmed Travis Head and David Warner will have first crack at opening over Steve Smith. Marsh leads a full-strength squad, including Test skipper Pat Cummins.
Oh, we love the Kiwi welcomes. They're great. I'm not, I guess, auditioning for the role. I'm here to do a job, and I'm very proud to captain Australia.
The three-match series for the Chapel Hadley Trophy starts at a sold-out cake tin in Wellington tomorrow. Winning key World Cup matches without Sam Kerr's given the Matildas the belief they can qualify for the Paris Olympics minus their injured skipper. The Aussies are in camp in Dubai, preparing for the first leg of their home and away tie against Uzbekistan in Tashkent Saturday night.
We don't get too much time to spend together, so it's going to be really important that everyone hits the ground running. Just get that, I guess, those relationships back and get back into the way the Matildas do things.
Yeah, the return leg is at Melbourne's Marvel Stadium next Wednesday. Katrina, we'll be back at 6. We have some big news coming out of the Lions camp as well. Stick around for that.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Time to see what's coming up in 7 News at 6 and our Gold Coast Bulletin. Max and Steve are here. Good afternoon. And Max, we have the latest fallout following the Police Commissioner's announcement that she's stepping down.
And of course, what that means for the youth crime crisis, Katrina. Tonight, what pushed Katarina Carroll to resign and who's next in line to take the top job? Also, the tuck shop food fail, leaving Queensland students without the nutrition they need. What experts are urging the government to change to kickstart healthier habits. And generous baby boomers are helping more young families. How the Bank of Nan and Pop is easing the cost of living crisis.
All right, and Steve, there's more division within the Gold Coast Police.
Yes, Katrina, there is. Good afternoon, everyone. We reveal why frontline officers are getting more and more frustrated. Also, why counter-terrorism police descended on a Pacific Pines school. We have exclusive vision as the grounds were locked down. And the winding Gold Coast road that's got residents, well, wound up. Why some drivers are calling for extreme solutions to keep them safe. Just some of the stories coming up at 5:30.
Looks like a juicy bulletin. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Max. Our Gold Coast viewers are off to the chase now. Then you can join Amanda and Steve for your local news at 5:30, and of course Sharon and Max at 6 o'clock. For the rest of Queensland, more on the Police Commissioner's decision to stand down. Katarina Carroll's emotional announcement. Who is set to replace her? A huge Queensland bank takeover approved, what it means for consumers. And later, after the weather, the McDonald's worker serving meals for 50 years. His incredible collection of fast food memorabilia.
In 7 News, Queensland Police in turmoil. The Commissioner quits. Katarina Carroll falls down in the face of intense pressure.
I just want the air to be clear because it is about the organisation.
What does it mean for the youth crime crisis? Also, Suncorp sold. Will branches shut? 7 News at 6.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Katrina Blowers.
Good afternoon. Making headlines this Tuesday, Queensland Police Commissioner Katarina Carroll has announced her resignation, finishing her 5-year tenure next Friday. The announcement follows mounting speculation and rising community concerns over youth crime. The Navy has announced it will double its surface fleet with 11 new frigates. The announcement of the retirement of 6 ageing Anzac-class vessels. Now, as you've just heard, Police Commissioner Katarina Carroll has announced she will resign and finish her tenure next week. The announcement follows rising community concerns about the service's response to the youth crime crisis. Here's what the outgoing Commissioner had to say to the media earlier today.
The Queensland Police Service is an outstanding organisation. When I walked through the great gates of the Police Academy 41 years ago, I had no idea what a career in policing where it would take me. The truth is, it has been the most incredible and rewarding journey I could have ever asked for. I certainly would not have predicted that a young woman living in Inner Hot Springs in far north Queensland from Croatian immigrants would make her way through the ranks to be appointed as Commissioner of Police. This morning, I have advised the Minister that I will not seek an extension to my contract as Commissioner. Since the start of the year, I've had candid conversations with my husband, with my children, who have been unbelievably supportive every step of the way. I made this decision and was going to have the discussion about not renewing my contract with the Minister in about 2 weeks' time. But because of the heightened speculation and commentary, I brought these discussions forward. We really needed to let it go and just spend some time just reflecting on life and enjoying the family. My daughter lives in the US, so looking forward to seeing her. So that'll be lovely. But it really is about the family.
We'll go through the process now of appointing a new police commissioner, and I expect that they will continue the important work that the police commissioner has undertaken.
Meanwhile, the state's youth crime crisis has left residents in 3 of Brisbane's most affluent suburbs so scared they've started paying for security guard patrols. They're demanding the government step in and do more. Sarah Jane Bell reports.
Residents here are reportedly shocked by the amount of suspicious activity their private security has come across and what it may have prevented. Around 30 families in Chelmer, Graceville and Sherwood are paying up to $100 a week for private security to patrol the streets and to provide reports of any suspicious behaviour. And they say they have seen a drop in the crime rate since that was introduced. This is just some of the community action that has been taken across southeast Queensland to tackle the youth crime crisis head on. Ipswich Council is leading the calls for increased police patrols and, of course, for those tougher youth crime laws following the murder of Ipswich grandmother Vilene White. Just last night, police charged 3 teenagers for allegedly bashing a 57-year-old man outside a shopping centre in Goodna in the early hours of Sunday morning. They've all been refused bail.
The competition watchdog's decision to block ANZ's $5 million takeover of Suncorp Bank has been overturned. Sally Guy joins me in studio. G'day, Sally. Now, this could have some really wide ramifications on the banking industry.
Yeah, it certainly could, Katrina, and especially when it comes to future mergers. The decision by the Australian Competition Tribunal opens the door for ANZ to acquire one of Queensland's oldest banks. Despite concerns it would create less competition, the tribunal today finding it was satisfied the deal represents a net public benefit and it would not likely substantially lessen competition. Both banks have, unsurprisingly, welcomed the decision. ANZ's customer base is set to grow by 1.5 million. Meanwhile, Suncorp can lose what's being described as its banking distraction and now focus on its growing insurance venture. For customers and workers, it'll be business as usual for the next few years. Even still, the ACCC remains sceptical.
The ACCC continues to have concerns about these markets and other banking markets. We need to watch very closely the conduct in these markets.
Now, despite the tribunal's decision, this is not a done deal. There are hurdles still yet to be jumped to make this a reality, and I'll have those details coming up in the news at 6. Katrina?
Great, we'll see you then. Thanks, Sally. National Senator Davey has hit back at claims she was drunk during a Senate hearing last week. As Isabel Mullen reports, Davey has told 7 News she has a medical condition.
Yeah, I just got off a video call to her and she's blamed scar tissue in her throat for slowed speech during this Senate hearing. She says she has an abscess behind her tonsils which erupted in 2019 while travelling in Germany. She claims to have had sepsis and a number of emergency operations that impacted her speech, telling 7 News she'd like people to focus on the content of what she was saying and not how she delivered it. Davey had been discussing arts investment in the regions with Creative Australia. Here's some of the hearing and her response this afternoon.
Having sit in this place now for from when once the arts would come in and it would be this is what we're saying.
No, I do not believe I was drunk. I occasionally, particularly when I'm tired or stressed or nervous, I do slur my words. I have an issue. It's related to a medical emergency 5 years ago. My throat catches. You can tell it's catching now.
The Teals are calling for random alcohol testing in Parliament, but so far both the Prime Minister and the opposition leader have said it's not necessary.
Time for a check on finance now, and it's been a choppy session on the Australian market. Here's Laura Bezerati from CommSec.
Good afternoon. Well, it certainly was quite a choppy session for the Aussie market, but ultimately we did decline by just 6 points, but that still means we put an end to 3 straight days of gains. There was quite a lot going on to move our market today, from the Reserve Bank saying they haven't ruled out another rate hike this year to another massive day for company profit results. In fact, the largest stock in our market, BHP, reported its lowest half-year profit in almost a decade, and that was due to billions in write-downs, and it also cut its dividend payment to 72 US cents per share, but it did see a lift in revenue thanks to higher commodity prices. Shares of casino operator Star Entertainment hit their lowest level ever today, given just 6 months to kick their business into shape by regulators, otherwise it may have to shut its doors. Star also delayed the release of its profit results, which were scheduled to come out tomorrow. Also today, ANZ got the green light to buy Suncorp's banking division in a $5 billion deal. This saw Suncorp shares hit their highest level in 5.5 years. And the maker of car accessories ARB Corporation rose strongly after a solid result. Finally, the Aussie dollar currently buys 65.2 US cents. Have a lovely night.
Tuck shop fail after the break. Urgent calls for a nutrition revolution. Queensland students missing out at meals. And a look at the world's first artificial heart, how it could save lives.
On 7 News, the grandparent economy holding up Australia in 2024.
The bank of Nan and Pop.
Boomers now with 48% of national wealth.
This is a new phenomenon.
The exclusive breakdown of how this generation is making all the difference, helping their families while living life to the full. On 7 News at 6.
A revolutionary Australian heart implant, decades in the making, is set to be trialled in humans. The device, designed in Brisbane, is being fast-tracked following a $50 million grant from the federal government. Paul Dowsley took a look today.
Heart failure kills an Australian every 3 hours, but this incredible new implantable heart is set to revolutionise how we treat it and potentially save millions around the world. It weighs 600 grams, made mostly of titanium and magnets, and it's designed to replace a broken heart. The hope is it'll be the world's first long-term artificial heart and last for decades. This morning, the federal government announced a $50 million grant to develop and commercialise it, and 2 other devices that sit inside the chest. The aim is they will be used to treat the most common forms of heart failure, taking pressure off heart transplant queues with its unique magnetic pumping mechanism that lasts much longer than existing options which wear out.
And this essentially means that you have no mechanical wear at all. You don't have any moving contacting parts. This is not just an evolution of existing devices. This is a true revolution of what's out there.
It is going to impact hundreds of millions of people around the world that suffer from heart failure, that we currently cannot keep them alive and have them thrive.
It was invented by Brisbane biomedical engineer Daniel Timms, whose father suffered heart failure. He's been working on it for 25 years, and its prototype was made years ago using plumbing pipes at Bunnings to map out how it could work. And its other advantage over existing options is that it can vary its speed automatically based on the person's physical exertion.
I think we still have a little ways to go to be better than a heart transplant, but it's definitely on the path to being there.
Successful trials have been done so far in cows and sheep. Humans are next. 10 recipients will take part in the US, the first happening within months.
Amazing. Well, urgent calls are mounting on the Queensland Education Department to review the state's nutrition policy at school tuck shops. It follows a major crackdown on some foods in other states. Rachel Baxter has the details.
Good afternoon. Well, the Queensland Association of School Tuck Shops is calling for an urgent review of the Smart Choices policy, which provides the guidelines for what food and drink school tuck shops should provide. The association claims a recent audit conducted of more than 250 schools found none of the tuck shop menus were fully compliant, accusing food and drink companies of trying to mask unhealthy options like carbonated juices as healthy. The association's chief executive, Diane Wooden, says more needs to be done to promote healthy foods in schools.
What we want to see is a whole of school approach to health and healthy eating and healthy food across the school environment. The policy is supposed to be implemented across all different areas of the school environment.
At the end of the day, a good sandwich, a piece of fruit, a tub of yoghurt, a thing of milk and some vegetable sticks, you can't go wrong with that. That's actually just nourishing food, it's sustaining food, and it also helps kids not fall off that sugar cliff halfway through their day.
It comes after South Australia recently banned fairy bread from the approved canteen menu, and ham and cheese sandwiches were banned in Western Australia under a new healthy eating policy overhaul. Here in Queensland, the Smart Choices policy, which outlines green, amber and red foods to indicate how often they should be served at tuck shops, was updated 4 years ago in 2020. The Department of Education says that the policy is regularly reviewed.
You're watching 7's Afternoon News. Still to come, meet the McDonald's mega fan who's been an employee for half a century. And a bit more sunshine in the southeast today. At the moment, it is 27 degrees in Brisbane. Tony has all the weather details next.
In 7 News, Queensland police in turmoil. The Commissioner quits. Katarina Carroll falls down in the face of intense pressure.
I just want the air to be clear because it is about the organisation.
What does it mean for the youth crime crisis? Also, Suncorp sold. Will branches shut? 7 News at 6.
Good afternoon, you're watching 7 News. Checking the weather now, and it's been a lot drier in the southeast today after a wet afternoon and evening yesterday. Still a couple of showers through the early afternoon, they're mostly easing now. Otherwise, we have a spattering of non-severe storms over southern inland parts of the state and also up into the tropics. No real focus for any heavy rain today. But while the rain has eased, we do still have plenty of flooding out west. Moderate to major flooding in the Diamantina here, making its way down towards Lake Eyre, while a few of those Gulf catchments are still emptying out after the latest lot of heavy rain. Onto the forecast chart, no strong weather features around Queensland, but a combination of heat and humidity and the influence of an upper level trough should see thunderstorm activity picking up over western parts of Queensland tomorrow. Around the capitals, a shower or two lingering in Sydney and Canberra, but not quite as wet as it has been. Melbourne heats up to 33. Back to northern Queensland, some heavier showers developing around Cairns and the North Tropical Coast. They'll ease back to a lighter shower in Townsville and a mostly dry 31 degrees in Mackay. Over southern districts, storms picking up around Longreach and Roma, then just a fleeting shower possible around the coast and ranges. Across the southeast, a partly cloudy Wednesday on the way. You can't rule out a possible shower here and there, but it will be a dry day all day for most spots. Leave the brolly at home if you are feeling adventurous. 22 up to 29 degrees in Redcliffe. Then heating up later this week. Katrina, I'll have all the details coming up at 6.
Thank you, Tony. Well, an Aussie McDonald's employee is this week clocking up 50 years working for the fast food giant. George Karuanua has kept Macca's memorabilia dating back to his first day in 1974, and he's even served a Hollywood legend. Nick McCallum spoke to him earlier today.
With me is George Karuanua. He is celebrating 50 years with McDonald's this Friday with your best mate, Ronald McDonald.
This is the man who started me all.
How did it all start for you?
Just visiting McDonald's, and I had a manager offered me a job, and then they made me look after Ronald McDonald every time he had a Ronald McDonald show. His name was Lindsay. He passed away a few years ago. We miss him, but I've got his statue to remember him.
Why does it mean so much to you? You now have a museum, don't you, of all your memorabilia?
This is the 1974 phone package, which they disappeared. That is the first giveaway we used to give to people. When they buy a soft drink, they get a Ronald McDonald cup. So he's 50 years with me as well. It's worth $10, but probably today it's worth over $150, but I wouldn't sell it for anything. Sometimes I sit down and just cry, thinking, how come I lasted this long?
It means that much to you?
It means a lot to me. Thank you. Drive safely. See ya. Enjoy it. See you soon. Thank you for coming. Bye. Good morning. You're waiting for coffee? I'm celebrating my 50 years anniversary with McDonald's. Thank you.
And you had a very famous person you served at Collingwood McDonald's.
Yes, I was just about to shut the store and I was told by someone, Betty Davis is coming, you've got to serve her, and I gave her free apple pie that day.
And what did she say to you?
She said, Betty Davis got blue eyes, but you've got a beautiful smile.
And what's the weirdest thing you've eaten when you've been overseas at a McDonald's store?
Hotcakes with spam in Hawaii and rice.
What was that like?
Not bad, because they eat 1 million spam every year at McDonald's in Hawaii. They just love spam.
Thank you very much, George Kawana. 50 years at McDonald's.
And a lot of stories to tell. Well, that is Queensland's 4 p.m. news for this Tuesday. Stay with us now for The Chase. Have a great night.